My name is Margaret, and I'm 58 years old. For most of my life, I believed I wasn't good enough. My mother made sure I knew it, and my younger sister Claire never let me forget it either. It was a Tuesday evening in late November when everything finally came to a head. The kind of evening where the air feels heavy, like something important is about to happen. I had driven across town to my mother's house for what was supposed to be a simple family dinner. Just me, my mother Dorothy, and my sister Claire. I should have known better. The moment I walked through that familiar front door, I felt it. That old familiar tension in my chest. The house smelled like roasted chicken and disappointment. The same combination I'd been greeted with for decades. "You're late," my mother said without looking up from her place at the dining table. She was 79 now, her hair perfectly styled in silver waves, her posture still rigid with that particular kind of judgment she'd perfected over the years. "Traffic was bad, Mom. I got here as fast as I could." Claire was already seated, looking immaculate as always in a designer blouse I knew cost more than my monthly grocery budget. At 53, she still had that same smug expression she'd worn since we were children. The expression that said she was the favorite and we both knew it. "Well, sit down then," my mother said, gesturing impatiently. "The food is getting cold because of you." I took my seat quietly, the same chair I'd sat in for family dinners my entire life. The same chair where I'd been criticized, compared, and found lacking more times than I could count. Dinner started the way it always did. My mother asked Claire about her life, her voice warm, interested. Claire talked about her latest vacation, her husband's promotion, her daughter's acceptance into a prestigious college. My mother listened with genuine pride, asking follow-up questions, smiling broadly. Then she turned to me. "And what about you, Margaret? Still working at that little office?" Little office. That's what she called the accounting firm where I'd worked for 23 years, slowly climbing from receptionist to senior financial analyst. The job that had allowed me to support myself, to build a modest but comfortable life. Yes, Mom, same place. Actually, I just finished a major audit that saved the company over $200,000. She said, cutting into her chicken. Claire's husband just closed a deal worth millions. And there it was. The comparison. Always the comparison. I took a deep breath and tried to change the subject. "This chicken is delicious, Mom. You always make it perfectly." "Your sister brought the wine," she said, ignoring my compliment. "Expensive French wine. She knows quality." Claire smiled sweetly, taking a sip from her glass. "I thought you'd appreciate it, Mother. Only the best for you." I looked down at my own empty wine glass. I hadn't been offered any. The dinner continued in this painful fashion for another 20 minutes. Every topic somehow circled back to Claire's successes and my shortcomings. My simple car compared to Claire's luxury sedan. My small apartment compared to Claire's 4-bedroom house in the suburbs. My practical clothes compared to Claire's designer wardrobe. I'd learned over the years to just let it wash over me, to nod and smile and wait for the evening to end. But that night, something felt different. Maybe it was because I'd turned 58 the week before and nobody had called. Maybe it was because I'd spent the entire day going through my finances, seeing exactly how much I'd been giving without ever receiving gratitude in return. Or maybe I was just tired. Margaret, my mother, setting down her fork with that deliberate motion that always preceded her most cutting remarks. I was talking to Betty from church yesterday. Her daughter just made partner at her law firm. Partner. At 45 years old, that's wonderful for Betty's daughter, I said quietly. "It made me think," my mother continued, her voice taking on that particular edge I knew so well, "about how different my daughters turned out. Claire has given me so much to be proud of. And then there's you." The table went silent. Even Claire looked momentarily uncomfortable, though she quickly hid it behind her wineglass. "You're not even fit to shine her shoes," my mother said, gesturing toward Claire. My mother said it in front of everyone at church last week, and I couldn't even disagree with her. Not when it's true. The words hung in the air like smoke, not even fit to shine her shoes. Said in front of everyone, at church. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not break exactly, more like a door opening that had been locked for decades. Then ask her to pay your bills, I said quietly. What? My mother's head snapped up, her eyes narrowing. I said, then ask her to pay your bills. My voice was still quiet, but steadier now. Ask Claire to pay your mortgage. Ask her to cover your property taxes. Ask her to pay for your medications, your doctor visits, your car insurance. Ask her to handle the roof repair we had to do last spring. Ask her to pay for the new furnace 2 winters ago. The color was draining from my mother's face. Margaret, I've been paying your bills for 17 years, Mom, every month, without fail. Ever since Dad died and you said you couldn't manage on your pension alone. Claire had set down her wine glass, her mouth slightly open. I continued, my voice growing stronger. $5,000 a month, Mom. For 17 years. Do why? Oh, know how much that is? Over $1 million. I've given you over $1 million while working at my little office, living in my small apartment, driving my simple car. You never said anything, my mother whispered. You never asked, I replied. You just assumed Claire was supporting you because she has the big house and the expensive car. But Claire has never given you a single dollar, have you, Claire? My sister couldn't meet my eyes. She looked down at her plate, her face flushed. I worked overtime for years to make sure you were comfortable, I said, and now my voice was shaking slightly, not with anger but with something else. Relief, maybe. Or release. I skipped vacations. I drove used cars into the ground. I lived frugally so you wouldn't have to. And all this time, you've been telling people I'm not even fit to shine Claire's shoes. Nobody moved. The silence in that dining room was absolute. I could hear the old clock ticking in the hallway, the same clock that had marked time through every difficult dinner of my childhood, every disappointed look, every unfavorable comparison. I need to leave, I said, standing up slowly. My legs felt shaky but strong at the same time. Thank you for dinner, Mom. Margaret, wait, my mother said, reaching out her hand. But I was already moving toward the door, picking up my coat from the rack where I'd hung it less than an hour ago. Margaret, please, she called after me. We need to talk about this. I paused at the door, my hand on the knob. We can talk when you're ready to see me for who I actually am. Not as a disappointment, not as a failure, but as the daughter who loved you enough to sacrifice her own comfort for yours. I walked out into the November evening. The air was cold and clean, and I breathed it in deeply. My hands were trembling as I unlocked my car, but inside I felt something I hadn't felt. In decades, I felt free. The drive home took 45 minutes through evening traffic. I didn't turn on the radio. I just drove in silence, watching the streetlights blur past, feeling that strange new lightness in my chest. When I got home to my small apartment, I made myself a cup of tea and sat by the window. My phone started ringing around 9 o'clock. It was my mother. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again 10 minutes later, voicemail, then again at 9:30. Finally, I picked up. Margaret, my mother's voice was different, smaller somehow. Margaret, I didn't know. All these years, I truly didn't know it was you. I find that hard to believe, Mom. I've been the one calling you every month about bills, helping you organize your finances, dealing with contractors and insurance companies. I thought you were just helping manage things. I thought Claire was actually paying. She always talked about how she wanted to take care of me, and I just assumed. You assumed the daughter with the expensive lifestyle was supporting you, not the daughter with the modest one. There was a long pause. Yes, she admitted quietly. I did. Why, Mom? I asked, and now my voice broke slightly. Why was it so easy to believe the worst of me? Why was I never good enough? Oh, Margaret. I heard her take a shaky breath. You were always so independent. Even as a little girl, you never needed me the way Claire did. You figured things out on your own, you worked hard, you never asked for help. And somehow, I mistook your strength for not caring. I mistook your independence for not needing my love. I wiped tears from my cheeks. I always needed your love, Mom. I just learned early that I had to earn it, and I could never earn enough. That's my fault, she said, and now she was crying too. That's entirely my fault. Your father tried to tell me years ago. He said I was too hard on you, that I didn't see how much you did. I got defensive. I didn't want to hear it. And after he died, it was easier to just keep believing what I'd always believed. We sat in silence for a moment, both of us crying in our separate homes. Claire called me after you left, my mother said finally. She confessed that she's known all along. She said she felt guilty every time I praised her, knowing you were the one actually helping me. But she liked being the favorite too much to say anything. That sounds like Claire, I said without bitterness. It was just a fact. She apologized to me. She owes you a much bigger apology. Margaret, I owe you everything. Not just the money, though God knows that's substantial. I owe you acknowledgement, gratitude, recognition, love without conditions. I don't want your money back, Mom. I did it because you needed help and I could give it. That's what family does. But I should have seen it, she insisted. I should have appreciated it. Instead, I took it for granted and made you feel worthless. How can you ever forgive me? I looked out my window at the city lights. I don't know yet, Mom. I need time. This isn't 17 years of paying bills. This is a lifetime of being made to feel insufficient. I understand, she said quietly. Take all the time you need. But please know that I see you now. I finally see you, Margaret. And what I see is a woman of incredible strength, generosity, and grace. Everything I should have been telling you your whole life. We talked for another hour that night, really talked, maybe for the first time ever. She asked about my work, actually listening to my answers. She asked about my life, my interests, my dreams. She asked about me. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls. 11 from my mother, 6 from Claire. There were text messages too. My mother's were apologetic as, "King, if we could meet for coffee." Claire's were panicked, begging me to call her back. I called my mother first. "I want to take you to lunch," she said. "My treat." Actually, my treat, not me expecting you to pay and pretending it's my treat. Despite everything, I smiled. "Okay, Mom. Lunch sounds good." We met at a small cafe near her house. She was already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table. She stood up when she saw me, and I noticed she looked older somehow. More fragile. Or maybe I was just seeing her clearly for the first time. "Thank you for coming," she said as I sat down. "Of course." We ordered coffee and sandwiches. She kept looking at me with this new expression I didn't recognize at first. Then I realized what it was. She was seeing me. Actually seeing me. "I talked to my financial advisor this morning," she said. "I wanted to understand exactly what you've been paying. Margaret, it's even more than you said last night. With the emergency expenses, the repairs, everything, it's closer to $1.3 million. I nodded. I kept track. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you make me see?" I tried, Mom, in small ways. But every time I mentioned something I'd paid for, you'd change the subject or credit Claire for being such a thoughtful daughter. After a while, I stopped trying. She reached across the table and took my hand. Her skin was papery and thin, spotted with age. When had she gotten so old? "I'm putting together a plan to pay you back," she said. "I'll sell the house if I have to. It's too big for me anyway. I can move into a smaller place, free up the equity." "Mom, no, I don't want you to sell your house. But I owe you. You owe me recognition," I interrupted gently. "You owe me apology. You owe me changed behavior. But you don't owe me money. I gave it freely." "Why?" she asked, tears in her eyes. "Why were you so go? OD to someone who treated you so badly?" I thought about it for a long moment. "Because you're my mother. Because family takes care of family. Because I knew you needed help, and I was able to give it. Because despite everything, I loved you. Loved? She caught the past tense. Not love? I don't know yet, Mom. I'm hurt. Deeply hurt. I need time to figure out what our relationship looks like now. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I'll wait. However long it takes. And Margaret, I'm going to do better. Not just with words, with actions. I'm going to show you that I see you, that I value you, that I'm proud of you. Over the next few weeks, she tried. She really tried. She called me regularly, but not to complain or ask for things. She called to ask how I was doing. She invited me to coffee just to talk. She told people at church the truth about who had been helping her all these years. Claire called too, eventually. We met for coffee 3 weeks after the dinner. I don't know where to start, she said, looking miserable. I've been a terrible sister. Yes, I agreed. You have been. She flinched but nodded. I was jealous of you, you know. Growing up, you were so competent, so independent. Mom always had to help me with everything, but you just figured things out. I resented you for making it look easy. It wasn't easy, Claire. I just didn't have the luxury of asking for help because help wasn't offered. I know that now. And instead of being grateful that you were helping Mom, I just took credit and enjoyed being the favorite. I'm ashamed of myself. Good, I said. You should be. We sat in silence for a moment. Can we start over? She asked quietly. Can I be a better sister? I don't know, I said honestly. But you can try. The months that followed were strange and new. My mother made efforts, real efforts, to change our relationship. She asked about my woe. RK and actually listened. She complimented me genuinely, not in comparison to Claire. She started contributing to her own bills again, insisting on paying what she could from her pension. I should have been doing this all along, she said. I let myself become dependent when I didn't need to be. I can manage most of it. You've taught me that. Claire tried too, though our relationship was slower to heal. She started paying some of Mom's bills, finally contributing. She invited me to family gatherings not as an afterthought but because she wanted me there, but the biggest change was in me. I stopped apologizing for taking up space. I stopped diminishing my accomplishments. When people asked what I did, I told them proudly about my work. I started spending money on myself, taking a vacation for the first time in years. I bought new clothes, not expensive designer things, but nice things that made me feel good. I started living as though I mattered, because I finally believed that I did. 6 months after that dinner, my mother hosted another family meal. This time, she insisted on cooking everything herself and wouldn't let me contribute financially. This is my treat, she said firmly. Truly my treat. When I arrived, there was a wrapped package at my place setting. What's this? I asked. Open it, she said. Inside was a framed photograph I'd never seen before. It was me at my college graduation, beaming with pride, diploma in hand. My father was beside me, his arm around my shoulders, looking at me with such obvious love and pride. Your father took this, my mother said softly. He always said you were the strongest person he knew. He said you had a quiet strength that would take you far in life. He was right. I felt tears starting. I miss him. He would be so proud of you, Margaret, and I'm proud of you too. I should have told you that every single day. I have seen what he saw. A daughter of remarkable courage, generosity, and grace. That night, dinner was different. My mother asked me about my life first. She listened to my stories with genuine interest. When Claire talked about her accomplishments, Mom smiled and congratulated her, but then she turned to me. Margaret solved a major crisis at work this week, she told Claire. Tell your sister what you did, honey. Honey. She'd called me honey. Such a small word, but I couldn't remember the last time she'd used a term of endearment for me. I told them about the audit issue I'd discovered and resolved, saving my company from a significant legal problem. My mother listened intently, asking questions, making impressed sounds at the right moments. That's incredible, Maggie, Claire said. You're incredible. It wasn't perfect. Relationships that are broken for decades don't heal overnight. There were still awkward moments, still old patterns that tried to resurface. But there was also something new, genuine effort, genuine love, genuine seeing. 1 year after the dinner that changed everything, I was back at my mother's house. Just the two of us this time, having tea in her living room. I've been thinking, she said, about what you said that night. About how I made you feel insufficient your whole life. Mom, we've talked about this. Please, let me finish, she said gently. I've been thinking about why I did that, and I realized something. I think I was hardest on you because you reminded me of myself. The self I could have been if I'd been braver. You went after what you wanted. You built a career. You stood on your own 2 feet. I got married young and let myself become dependent. I think I resented you for having the courage I never had. I set down my teacup. I never thought about it that way, neither did I, until recently. But it's true, you were everything I was afraid to be, and instead of celebrating that, I punished you for it. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I'm so deeply sorry. I went to her then and hugged her. Really hugged her, the way I hadn't since I was a small child. She felt tiny in my arms, this woman who had loomed so large in my life. I forgive you, Mom, I whispered. I choose to forgive you. She held me tight and cried. Thank you for being kinder to me than I ever was to you. That evening, as I drove home through the city streets, I thought about forgiveness and family and the strange ways we hurt the people we love. I thought about how much courage it takes to speak your truth, even when your voice shakes. I thought about how you teach people how to treat you, and how I'd finally found my voice after 58 years of silence. My phone buzzed at a red light. A text from my mother. I'm proud of you. I'll never stop telling you that now. Love you, sweetheart. I smiled and texted back. Love you too, Mom. The light turned green, and I drove forward into my life. My small, modest, beautiful life that I'd built with my own strength and determination. The life I'd been made to feel ashamed of for so long. The life I was finally proud of. I wasn't the daughter who could shine anyone's shoes. I was Margaret, the daughter who'd shined on her own all along. And that, I'd learned, was more than enough. It was everything. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below, telling me about a time you found your voice or stood up for yourself. Your story might inspire someone else who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening.